Hi, my name is Cal Wansborough. My company is Yoga and the Big Smoke. I teach a lot of Yin Yoga, and Yin is a long, slow practice, mainly on the ground. This class, we use a variety of different postures to work into the thighs and the hips. So coming into frog is going to be your first pose. So frog you can either do against a wall. So Lizzie's going to demonstrate frog against a wall. So frog is already about stretching the adductor muscles, so your inner thighs. So against the wall, you need to get your butt right up against the wall, and then you open up your legs, and then you get a nice stretch through the inner thighs, so your groin. You can have a little bend in your knees. Sometimes that helps if you feel that you're still twinging into the ligaments of your knees, or you can have your knees straight, depending, and then you're just going to lie back. The other version of frog is coming, and you're going to bring a bolster underneath your torso, or some props, and then bring your knees nice and wide, and then you're just going to sit down, relax down onto the bolster. You can turn your head one way just so it's nice and comfortable, and then you've got the stretch through your inner thighs too. Sometimes you can sit forward and then you don't necessarily feel the stretch, so you really want to sit back into your pelvis, and then you're going to start to get the stretch through your inner thighs. And then Tammy as well is coming into frog with a bolster, and just so that you know, you can have your feet turned out like a frog, like frog's legs here, that's why it's called frog, or you can have your feet turned in. I personally have the preference of my feet turned in, and I think Tammy you do as well. So the idea is to get a nice stretch through your inner thighs, and we're going to be here for the next 3 minutes or so. So finding that place again of being able to drop down into your parasympathetic nervous system, being able to relax. Yin working on the connective tissue of the body, so the ligaments, the tendons, the joint capsules, and then the fascia, the continuous web of cling film, which is around every little muscle, around every organ, threaded in between, layered around. And this is what we're trying to open up in our Yin Yoga. So requiring long-held, gentle, passive stretches to bring a little bit of flexibility and elasticity into this really dense tissue of the body. So simple postures, but the profoundness and the deep release comes from the length of the hold. So preferable if you're doing Yin at home to do 1 or 2 postures for 5 minutes or so, rather than to do a lot of postures for 1 minute each. So frog we have in the inner thighs, so inner thighs, groin, adductor group. There's 5 adductor muscles, and this is what we're really trying to open out. They support the pelvic floor, and then we're working 2 on the liver and the gallbladder meridian. So as I mentioned, for Chinese medicine, Yin Yoga is based a lot on Chinese medicine. It's working energy, rebalancing energy through the meridian line, so we have a flow of energy, remembering that we are all energy. We're matter, which is compressed energy, so we're just working that energy through our bodies. And now from here, very slowly coming out of the pose, and then just lying back onto the mat for a moment of rebound. So you're just going to lie back down. So after frog, coming into a few moments of rebound. Rebound is just a shavasana where you feel the pose. So you're just taking a few moments of feeling how the stretch is in your body, how it opens up your body. And now from here we're going to come into a half saddle. So we're going to do the right side first. So taking a bolster for Tammy, you're going to come and bend your right knee back. Yes, you're doing right. Let's do the right side first. And then Tammy's going to lie back on a bolster. So it's really nice as a half saddle to get a bolster. And you bend this knee, and the idea of a half saddle is to get a nice stretch through your front of your right thigh. You might feel a little bit under the hip flexor. You turn that right knee back, and then you can also bend. Sometimes it's really nice to bend the right knee so it just slants the pelvis. It's a little bit more comfortable. So is that more comfortable for you? And then you get a nice stretch through here. Yes. So idea of half saddles, get a nice stretch through the forequads, maybe coming a little bit up into that right hip. And then Javier is going to choose to do half saddle on his front. So let's do the right leg first. And he's going to bend that right foot and catch the right foot in his hand. And then just lying, so you're kind of getting nice and comfortable, so just lie back down. And then you can increase the intensity of the pose by bringing a block underneath there. So just lifting that right knee up will increase the intensity of the pose. And then lying back and feeling that nice stretch through the right quad. And then Lizzie, option for Lizzie. Lizzie's got really good internal rotation, so she finds it nice to be able to come all the way back without any support at all. And she has a little stretch through here, but actually she wants more of a stretch by bringing a bolster right underneath her pelvis, and that is going to really increase the stretch. You want to block underneath there as well. So getting a stretch through the hips and then through the thighs. And everyone is really nice and comfortable. Idea behind Yin, you want to be as comfortable as possible in the poses. If you're comfortable, you can relax into the poses. Yin is all about not pushing ourselves, not struggling. There's an element of surrender, huge element of letting go, releasing into the poses. And as you release, you relax your muscles, so you can work a little bit more into the fascia, the myofascia of the body, the connective tissue. Half saddle, full saddle, we're working on the whole front line of the body. So opening up through the spleen and stomach meridian, aiding with digestion. And there's a really grounding and calming effect to working on the spleen and stomach meridian. It's connected to the earth element. So keeping us grounded, calming us down, alleviating anxiety. So this is a nice pose to alleviate anxious or overthinking, constant thoughts. And now we're going to move really slowly into the other side. So Lizzie's just going to stay where she is because she's going to stay in full saddle. She's doing both legs. Javier and Tammy are going to move into the left side. So Javier's going to take the left foot, and then the pose increases by bringing a block underneath that left knee and then just lying back. And you're again becoming really nice and comfortable. Tammy bending the left knee up so she gets to stretch through that left quad, and then again you can have the option of bending the right knee up or having that straight out in front of you. So whichever your preference. Is it straight? Okay. So bent on one side, straight on the other side, remembering that our body is really different one side to the other side. We kind of think we're symmetrical, but we're not. We are Should I go? We think we're symmetrical, but we're not. Different. bodies. And again, you can see here 3 people and doing very different poses, but still it's all about the target area, and we're getting this stretch now in the front of the left quads. Lizzie has got it in the front of both, but Javier and Tammy doing the same pose in inverted commas because it's accessing the same stretch in the body. And as we open up, bringing energy back through spleen and stomach, finding that really nice place of dropping down into the parasympathetic nervous system, rest and digest, where the body can really start to heal itself. Bringing energy, blood and nutrients into the often neglected areas of the body. So systems like the lymphatic system, endocrine or hormonal system, the digestive system get neglected in our fight and flight, where it's all about bringing energy to the muscles and the heart to keep us in that place of being able to run away or to be able to confront the thing that's providing the stress. We want to be in our parasympathetic nervous system about 7/8 of the waking day. Now really slowly coming out of that pose. So you're just going to come out of it, and we're going to move from here into a sleeping swan. So Javier is going to do sleeping swan on his back. So coming down onto your back. On your back, you bring your left knee up, and then you bring your right ankle onto your right knee, and then just get that stretch. So sleeping swan is about getting a nice stretch through that right buttock, stretching the rotators and the glute muscles. And then Tammy and Lizzie are going to do it on the front. So here Tammy's got her shin parallel to the front of the mat, which will make this external rotation pretty big, and it's also that's the safest place for the knee at right angles like this. The knee doesn't have very much pressure or doesn't have much impact of rotation, and we just want to be really mindful. And then the back leg straight out behind her. Lizzie has her right foot, do you just want to come up from it, Lizzie? Her right foot just underneath that left hip, so you can see that quite clearly, a different position from Tammy, but still, if she folds forward, she gets a really nice stretch right through your right buttock. And then just staying here once more in the pose we're going to be here for about 3.5 minutes. We've had a couple of minutes already, so. And this is really about finding a stretch in the back of the right hip. So we tend to hold a lot of tension around our hips. It's definitely an area where there's a lot of fascia, there's a lot of dense tissue, and we tend to push our emotions, stuff our emotions down into the fascia of the body. Fascia is very sensitive, it has a lot of nerve endings in it, and often coming into our yin poses can release not only a physical release, but also it can be an emotional release. So just being mindful of that. It's a very, very supportive practice, so in a way there's something very nice about being able to release not only physically but also emotionally, and feel that the support of the floor, the earth underneath you, that constant support, and then the flow of our breath can be very, very calming and can really help to ease the release of emotions as well. So from here we are going to now come out and come into a forward fold. So you're going to come into half dragonfly or hand angle, which is stretching now not only the back of the right hip, so we're going to do the right side, you're going to come into the back of the right leg, so coming into the hamstrings at the back of the right leg. So Javier is going to take a hand angle pose. Sometimes it's nice to have a bolster underneath your head to support your head, finding a nice stretch through the right hamstrings. And then Tammy and Lizzie are going to come forward. So this is their preferred forward fold, accessing a stretch in the hamstrings by coming forward. Just bringing one leg out in front of you, just doing one leg, you isolate the hamstrings in that leg. So in this pose, just being quite mindful here that if the left knee is winging up, I'm just going to wing it up a little bit, then maybe you bring both legs straight out in front of you, or maybe you bring the left leg out behind you. Do either of you want a bolster? Or no? Would you like one? Okay. So sometimes, again, it's always nice to have a bolster handy in Yin. That Lizzie's going to use it to support her torso so that she can really melt down onto the bolster and be really nice and comfortable. So going from stretching the back of the right hip to stretching the back of the right leg. The hamstrings are the antagonist muscle for the quadriceps, which we stretched in half saddle. There's 4 quads and 4 hamstrings. In this pose too, we just want to be a little bit mindful, making sure there's still a tiny little bend in the right knee, so that we're getting into the belly of the hamstring and not up into the attachments, which is where the seat bones are. And you can have a little bend in your right knee folding forward as well, so that you're not locking out that knee joint. and then really slowly coming out of that pose. And we're going to come into a sleeping swan on the other side. So Javier's going to stay on his back and come into the sleeping swan on the other side. So doing sleeping swan. Yeah, perfect. Sometimes sleeping swan, it's nice to have a strap. So you can bring the strap around the top of the knee joint. Sometimes that helps. So you bring it around there and then just see if that helps. Does that help? Does that? Or maybe it doesn't, or maybe you want it around your legs, it doesn't matter. So you can bring the strap. Straps can help. Or you can just bring your hands around us. Do you prefer your hands, Javier? Yeah. So just bring your hands. And then again, coming down and just saying that Tammy has still got her left knee at a right angle. You'll just want to come up a little bit, Tammy, to show that. So that left knee is pretty much more or less at a right angle. So it's giving her knee the best position, the safest position. It's the position where the knee comes into least rotation. I want to just be really careful of that knee joint. And then just lying back. Sometimes you'll find that the pelvis will tilt up, but actually Tammy's got quite a flat pelvis here. And then Lizzie, she's got her left foot right underneath that right hip, so it's kind of like a more closed knee joint, so the knee joint is closed. Again, that's probably the other safest place for the knee. You don't want to have a semi-closed, semi-open knee joint and then coming down. So coming into that nice stretch of the back of the left hips now. So in this pose, we're working on the liver and the gallbladder meridian, working on the lateral sides of the back of the hips and the leg. Possibly also working into the kidney meridian. So liver and gallbladder are all about direction. Every meridian line or energy line has an energetic, a physical and a mental aspect to it. And the mental aspect of the liver is all about direction, being about seeing forward, ability to plan. And then the energy is about change, is about bringing newness and creativity. So it's not only about having lots of ideas, but it's also being able to implement the ideas. And then there's a physical clearing in your body. It's about clearing out deep-seated emotions, deep-seated toxins. So it's a very releasing pose. And again, feeling the floor underneath you creates a really supportive environment. And now from here, working once more into your forward fold, which is going to access a stretch in the hamstrings or your hand angle. So Tammy and Lizzie are going to do it on their fronts, and then Javier is going to come back and do the hand angle on your back. So you're going to bring that left leg up into the strap. So finding that nice stretch through the hamstrings. Can I just borrow you for a minute, Tammy, and just so if this left knee wings up when you come forward, so if it's right up like this, then it's a better option to bring the legs straight out in front and open the legs a little bit and just fold over the left leg to act as a stretch in the left leg. Or equally, you can bend the left knee and bring it behind you. You're going to find it difficult doing that, aren't you? So that's an option as well, just if you don't have very good external rotation. But do your preferred one. I just wanted to show that. So coming forward and just folding forward, finding that's a nice stretch in the back of the left hamstrings. And again, Lizzie's opted to have a bolster so that her whole body is really supported by the bolster. She's in a place where she's not coming into her maximum range of motion, and the bolster is just giving her a little bit of support so she can really sink down into the pose. So when we work into the back line of the body, we're working into the kidney meridian. Kidneys are associated with the emotion of fear, and it's the spectrum of fear. So you can be fearful and then fearless. So fearless or timid or a little bit reticent, not being able to say what you think, not being able to fight your corner. And then the other side, you can be reckless and cavalier and fearless and end up doing lots of things which maybe appear a little bit inconsiderate. It's for the, it's ambition gets hold of you. So the mental energy of kidneys is ambition, it's our drive. And we're always looking for the balance. So knowing that your chi, the energy, the chi, prana, life force, whatever you want to call it, it's an intelligent life force. So it's going to replenish and rejuvenate where it sees fit. So when we come into asymmetrical poses, like these are all asymmetrical poses, i.e. we're coming into one side more, it stretches that side much more intensely than just coming forward with both legs out in front of you or both legs up on the strap. So it's the isolation which will intensify the pose. And Yin is about being comfortable in the pose, but feeling the stretch. So you want to feel it in the target area. The target area is the hamstrings at the moment. And now really slowly coming out of that pose, and you're going to make your way into your final relaxation. So final relaxation, really important to set this up nicely. So you can either choose to have a bolster. Do you want a bolster? Anybody want a bolster underneath your knees? No. No. And then just allowing your feet to flop out, arms by your side. Lizzie's chosen to have a bolster underneath her knees because it can really push the lower back down into the mat, which feels a really nice lengthening to the lower back. And then I'm going to put some eye bags on their eyes. So they block out the light. Shavasana arguably is the most important pose in our yoga. Deep relaxation, allowing the body and the mind to really reap the rewards of the practice. And then coming out of Shavasana, making it really slow and really mindful. So wriggling your fingers and your toes. And then just bringing your arms over your head and giving yourself a really nice big stretch. And hugging your knees into your chest. And then just dropping your knees over to the left side when you're ready. So always when you're ready. And really slowly making your way up into a comfortable seated position. So seated position can either be kneeling or cross-legged, simple Sukhasana. And then hands together, your heart center. So taking a few moments to notice the changes in your body and your mind. Raising your thumb knuckles to the center of your forehead. And bowing as you say Namaste. Thank you guys.